last night on The Bachelorette.
Meatball, will you accept this rose?
I'm sorry, I cannot. I'm here for Gabby.
You've been meatballed. Are you ready for some meatballs?
No, man. Meatball rejected my rose. Like, this is the most embarrassing thing in my life.
Very funny.
Welcome back to another Bachelorette recap, and week 3 is going to be all about one thing: making hard choices, as the men that are remaining are finally going to have to pick a lane and decide which Bachelorette they want to be with. No more of this wishy-washy BS, it's time for Meatball to finally pick a side dish and for all the men to make a hard decision. But before we get into all that, we've got a week full of dates to get to, starting with Rachel's one-on-one with Zack. Here, they're meeting up with Queer Eye's Karamo, who's going to be setting these two up on a date at some big movie premiere. But remember, while all this is going down, we still have a whole other Bachelorette on the show with nothing to do. So, as Zack and Rachel relax before they go out, Gabby has decided to come and visit the rest of the men at the mansion.
This is nice. What do you do all day?
Yeah, we throw the football, tan.
Not throw the football.
Well, throw the football they do. So much so, Gabby starts to feel left out.
I don't want to play anymore. I didn't want to play to start.
They realize this is a competition show for Gabby's heart, not a football scholarship, right? Well, Gabby's now feeling kinda awkward here, as the men are putting in more effort into complimenting each other than they are to complimenting Gabby.
It's pretty nice.
Oh, you like it? Bro, I got this from Mexico, bro, when I went on a wedding trip.
Let this be a lesson, everyone. Nice sweaters don't mean you get laid.
You know, I haven't had sex in a year and almost a half.
Back on the date, Karamo is making a play for Tan's job on Queer Eye as he becomes the stylist for the two, and frankly, I am shocked that at no point in this date do we see a black censor bar come up over Zack's junk. Production is finally holding some restraint. Then, for the night portion of their date, it's time for Zack and Rachel to hit up their movie premiere. But of course, not before a few red carpet paparazzi shots. And I love how production didn't close off the sidewalk for this, like this lady's going by hoping to get a shot of Brad Pitt or something, and it's just Zack and Rachel. But after that, it's finally time for the premiere of Me and You, a compilation of moments from Rachel and Zack's childhood with a video from each of their moms mixed in as well. Sadly though, Me and You was directed by Michael Bay, so all the sweet moments kept being interrupted by explosions. And well, Zack has immediately shown up as a contender with Rachel after this, especially when he turns to her and talks about how much his dad loves planes.
He would just drive us to any airport.
Stop.
And we would sit in the parking lot of an airport, and we would just watch planes take off and land, and he would name every single one of them.
I did that with my dad.
You're kidding me.
And I don't know, this was just a very sweet date and an original one too. I know they've done the childhood footage stuff before, but it was nice to see something different than the cookie cutter template we get so often. Also, Zack seems like a nice guy.
This is crazy to say out loud and actually think about. It's very real. What's going on? It's very real.
And this date was so good for him, he even pulls out the first date, I'm falling for her.
I'm falling for her. I'm falling for her. Really, really hard.
So, no surprise, Zack gets a rose, and we move on to a new day and a new date with Gabby and Eric. But this date isn't just going to be with one guy, no, there's a special guest on his way to join them.
A legend.
It's Grandpa John.
Have you got a date for me?
Come on, this is about me.
Classic Grandpa John. Gotta love the guy, he's just out here living his best life.
You should come hang out with me in Santa Monica.
What's in Santa Monica?
Beaches, like
Good-looking chicks?
Grandpa, you are a pervert.
So to start this date off, the three will be undergoing a sound ceremony to wash away any negative energy, or if you're Grandpa John, to get in a quick power nap.
John, you're welcome to rejoin us whenever you feel ready.
Rejoin us. How? Oh, jeez. What on earth?
Then, after the quiet and serene sound ceremony, what better way to cap off the date than to crash some balls in a bowling alley, where even Grandpa John gets in on the date night fun.
Hi! Do you want to bowl with my grandpa and I and my date?
Sure. Are you me?
This is Julie.
Julie?
Hi, Julie. How are you? I'm Grandpa.
I'm Grandma.
Aw, how sweet. Listen here, Julie, if you break that man's heart, we will come down upon you with such righteous vengeance, even your grandkids' will feel it. You two have fun now. From here, things then move on to the night portion of the date. But it's in this moment that all those insecurities Gabby started to feel from the other day, being ignored by the men, feeling as if she's not good enough to be the Bachelorette, it's here where those feelings come on display.
I do really have a connection with Eric, and I might not be perfect tonight, but hopefully he's patient with me, because that's the only thing I can really ask for.
And this becomes a theme not only for the rest of this date, but for the rest of this episode, as Eric talks about the strong relationship between his mom and dad, but Gabby doesn't have that, nor does she have any relationship with her mom.
We're estranged. I don't have a relationship with her. No, that's okay. She definitely did the best she could. But the second I moved out of the house, she wiped her hands clean.
So sometimes even discussing parents can be difficult, as Gabby has to take an extra step back to analyze her emotions and process them. Something that Eric, for example, probably never has to worry about. 'Cause, as Gabby puts it,
I'll maybe never know what it's like to have a mother's love, and it's something that's hard and I'll miss.
So Gabby gets up to take a moment. Ultimately, she's terrified that 1, she's too broken to be loved, 2, that Eric will be scared away, and 3, sometimes she just doesn't want to have to explain all this. And is this something she's going to have to repeat every single time she's on a one-on-one date? Well, Gabby returns and tells Eric she's not the most picture-perfect polished bachelorette, but that because of her experiences, when she loves deeply. And Eric says his only expectations for their relationship is that they be honest with each other, which helps Gabby feel more connected to Eric, enough for her to give him a rose. But Gabby already being in this vulnerable place is going to be an important thing to note as we head into the group date for the episode. And remember when I said it was nice to see an original date on this show? Well, that's all out the window as we're now on another classic Bachelor photoshoot date hosted by Franco Lacosta. And oh look, they even brought back the black censor bar.
Guys, I gotta leave.
What? That's it?
I think that in a group setting, I do best.
What am I supposed to do with this?
I mean, I got 2 switches. On and more on.
Okay, does he think that was funny? I mean, he just called himself a moron, and also isn't his thing being naked all the time, not putting more clothes on? I get it's a self-deprecating joke, but it doesn't make sense, right? Am I the moron here, or what? Anyways, we'll have more time to hate on this idiot later when he does something even stupider. For now, we get to watch the guys in their best Magic Mike get-ups, except for Jason, who looks more like he's applying for a job at a sporting goods store, Kirk here's doing his best Toby cosplay from The Office, and then Avon gives birth to a baby meatball to the horror of everyone watching.
Oh no, it's coming!
It's coming.
Come on, baby meatball.
I could see myself having a child with Aiden, and I hope it looks like meatball.
Basically, everyone gets stupid costumes except for the producer darlings Tino, Logan, Tyler, and Nate, who get to don suits and propose to the ladies while all the other dudes feel like clowns. But if this was an attempt by production to get the other dudes jealous and start some house drama, all they had to do was wait for the evening portion of the group date and they'd have gotten what they wanted. A date that's going to be taking place at SoFi Stadium, home of the LA Rams and Chargers. 'Cause here, while Rachel goes off and has an awesome time connecting with Avon and then with Tino, Gabby has a string of rejections headed her way. First is with Tyler, who does so respectfully, telling her his intentions are with Rachel, but then there's Hayden, whose phrasing is, well, I'll just say it's a little rough around the edges.
I do have my intentions fully for Rachel. I think you have the bubbly aspect to you, the goofy aspect, and you're a little bit more like, I would say rough around the edges, but...
Excuse me, bitch!
I'm sorry, what was that? I don't want to say rough around the edges, but I'll just say it anyways. Then he follows it up with a...
You're the best.
Oh, you are.
Appreciate you. You do look great tonight.
Thank you.
Okay?
Alright, someone get Dollar Store Joe out of here before he gets these hands. Then, to make things worse, frat boy Tarzan comes in and echoes the same sentiment.
Even if, like, say, if you were the only person here, I don't think I could have the heart to continue. Obviously, like, you're smoking.
Yeah.
Well, shoot.
Well, shoot. I wouldn't date ya if you were the only person here, but you're smoking. When I tell you I was sitting here ready to have a Gordon Ramsay moment, you know when he goes like,
"Shut up! Come here! Right now I'd like to slam dunk all of you!"
I mean, is this guy an idiot? Does he not realize Gabby has the ability to walk over and talk to Rachel and tell her everything? All I wanted to do was take Jacob and be like,
"What are you?
An idiot sandwich."
Well, eventually it's time for the group date roses to be handed out. Rachel gives hers to Avon, but then Gabby decides to shock them all.
Tonight has kind of been hard for me in ways. So I feel like I can't give a rose tonight.
You have no one to put on blast.
So Rachel is surprised, and Gabby does what Jacob never expected her to do. She tells Rachel about everything. About Hayden calling her rough around the edges, about Jacob's "if you were the last bachelorette on earth, I wouldn't date you." But hey, you're still smoking though. Well, Gabby and Rachel then decide enough is enough, a change in this process needs to be made. So, as the guys are left reeling, wondering what it was that caused Gabby not to give out her rose, things get even stranger when the next night, as they're all getting ready for the evening before a rose ceremony, Jesse Palmer walks in and says this.
I know you all were really excited to see Gabby and Rachel tonight at the cocktail party, but that's not going to happen. Because the cocktail party is officially canceled.
But that's not all. On top of that, it's time for the men to pick a lane. At the rose ceremony, Gabby and Rachel will be handing out roses, and if you accept it, you will be deciding to pursue that bachelorette and that bachelorette alone. The men will then be separated, and 2 separate journeys will commence. So, Zack and Avon already have roses from Rachel, while Eric already has one from Gabby, and the rest of the men line up to decide their fate. First rose is Rachel to Tino, surprise surprise, then it's Gabby to Nate, another shocker. And for the first little bit, things go pretty smoothly, as Rachel hands out a rose to Logan, and then Gabby hands one out to Johnny. But after that, Rachel calls out Termaine.
Termaine, will you accept this rose?
Look, I don't want to be the guy to first decline the rose of the night, but I feel like we could be great friends outside of this, obviously, but I feel like I have a deeper connection with Gabby.
Well, this is kinda awkward, because what do we do from here? Wouldn't you think if Rachel had decided on someone, that meant Gabby was willing to let them go, and vice versa? Well, Jesse then sends Termaine back in line in the hopes that he might get called by Gabby later on, and then Jesse just goes and takes away the rose and trashes it. And when Alec rejects Rachel's rose and so does Meatball, Jesse comes in and snatches those roses away too, while I'm sitting here like...
Swiper no swiping! Swiper no swiping! Swiper no swiping!
Oh, man!
Well, eventually, rose after rose is handed out, with Jason, Kirk, Mario, Michael, Quincy, and Spencer added to Team Gabby, and Ethan, Jordan, and Tyler added to Team Rachel, leaving 1 rose left for Rachel with Jacob, Hayden, and the Rejections squad still there.
Hayden. Hayden, will you accept this rose?
Absolutely.
So with that, it means Jacob, Meatball, Termaine, and Alec are left without a rose, and Gabby's over there like, nuh-uh, I'm not handing out another one, see you later. So there you have it. Another rose ceremony down, and the gang toast to one last night in the Bachelor Mansion, as the group will be headed to Paris next week. But before we go, there's one last Meatball still clinging to life, and he wants to see those Parisian lights.
I think you're incredibly beautiful. I love your personality.
Thank you.
And I love just kind of giving it another shot. What do you think?
But that's it for this episode. We'll have to wait and see if Meatball gets a second course with Rachel, something we'll definitely find out and talk about in the preview breakdown tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And, until next time, Bachelor Fantake, out.
You've been meatballed. Are you ready for some meatballs?
Meatball rejected my arms. Like, this is the most embarrassing thing in my life.
Very funny.